What the hell's going on in El Paso? The SAVE Act just broke. Kentucky governor uses the Bible as support for mutilating children. And Kurt Cobain did not commit suicide. He was murdered. I'll tell you about that. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Oh, goodness, it's Thursday, huh? Yeah, it's hump day plus one more day to go, and then the weekend is here. Thank goodness for that, except that it is Chinese New Year weekend. And that makes things around here insane. All right, I don't have a big backup story on this one because it just happened a little while ago, but they have added Senator Curtis. They're at 44. Baby steps to save America. Just spoke with this is Mike Lee, just spoke with Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who asked me to add him as a co-sponsor to the Save America Act. There is still the threat of this bloody filibuster thing, but all things being equal, we have a chance. It passed the House, amazingly, but we still got to get through the Senate. It's looking good, but it is not confirmed. So don't be popping the champagne just yet. Good morning, Maryland. Sunshine and 24 degrees in Connecticut. My goodness, praise the Lord. All right, we got a lot going on here. And to start off with, what the hell is going on in El Paso, Texas? As it turns out, it's a whole bunch of nothing. El Paso no-fly zone was a wild, short-lived mess. The FAA slapped a temporary flight restriction on the city late Tuesday morning, grounded everything at the airport. Absolutely everything was grounded. And we're talking about a 10-mile radius, 10 nautical miles. They call it a special security reason. That's all they'd say. Up to 18,000 feet, no commercial, no cargo, even medevac flights were not allowed until the 20th of February. But here's the twist, and this is the one that didn't make the headlines. They lifted this restriction hours later, about 7 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. No ongoing threat. Everything went back to normal. You didn't hear that part, did you? The real story, apparently, there's some conflicting reports. Some say Mexican cartel drones breached our airspace. Pentagon jumped in with counterattack measures like lasers and drone disabling gear. Other people pointing to a screw up, the DoD testing anti-drone stuff near the border, but they didn't tell the FAA. Nice. Either way, it stranded passengers. Hundreds of flights got canceled. It left everybody scrambling. Planes stuck, folks stuck in lines, planes parked on the tarmac. There is a map. I put it in the thumbnail tonight, this morning, and that is the restricted bubble over El Paso, which lands right on the border. Do we have that shot? Yes, we do, as a matter of fact. Can we cue that up? There we go. Okay, there you go. You see that? Look at that. Both of those areas, absolute, complete, no-fly zones. No matter what, it ain't happening. FAA restriction halts flights to El Paso, southern New Mexico. Border drone vibes, that's what sparked it. Trump administration briefly closed the airspace and blames a Mexican cartel drone incursion. All right, if that's what you want to call it, I guess. They dropped. This is absolutely unprecedented. This has never happened before. El Paso, 7 hours Wednesday morning. flights canceled. Apparently disagreements between the FAA and the Pentagon over the use of anti-drone technology at Fort Bliss, according to Representative Gabe Vasquez, a Democrat from New Mexico, represents the southern New Mexico, west of El Paso. That was also under flight restrictions. He confirmed multiple media reports that testing of the laser-based system was at the heart of the FAA's decision. You know, not a bad one to be frank about it. If you got some anti-drone laser tech and you got a commercial flight going through with 100+ passengers on it, what happens if this test laser drone, anti-drone laser, decides that flight's a drone? It's a test, after all. The Veronica Escobar, Democrat from El Paso, said, I want to emphasize this was an FAA decision, but what I can say is that nothing happened on the Fort Bliss that would have impacted the El Paso airport or its operations. Escobar and Vasquez said, I believe the FAA owes the community and the country an explanation, you think, as to why this happened and why it was so sudden and so abrupt. They got no warning, apparently, from the Pentagon? Although I guess I could believe that. Based on the information they have right now, she says, same information the House Armed Services Committee has been provided. That is not what we in Congress have been told. Vasquez said, let's be clear, the admin has provided no proof of a drone incursion that would warrant this kind of a large-scale 10-day response. Don't forget, originally this was supposed to last for 10 days. FAA has not responded to any of these comments at all. They've had nothing to say. Frightening. Restrictions started at 11:30 p.m. Warned pilots the U.S. government may use deadly force against airborne aircraft. If it's determined the aircraft poses an intermittent threat. And then 7 a.m. Wednesday, they lifted the restrictions. This is crazy. But bottom line is, it's over. It's done. It was all a giant nothing burger. How that all happened is a bit of a nightmare, but basically the whole thing was just one giant nothing burger. What is not a nothing burger, however, is our dear Attorney General Pam Bondi. Total chaos. Did you see any of this? Unbelievable. This House hearing went absolutely nuclear over the Epstein issue. Bondi appeared on Capitol Hill yesterday. What followed? Absolute moronic chaos. Exchanges which melted into shouting matches. Insults flying. Representative Jim Jordan, the committee's chairman, couldn't get control back. These children, and I'm not including Bondi necessarily in that, these children just acting exactly like little stubborn 10-year-olds, little spoiled brats. The center of all these fireworks, House members, Democrat House members, accusing Bondi of impropriety involving Epstein, including repeated allegations that she is protecting the clients instead of indicting them. One exchange, Rep. Zoe Lofgren, California. Bondi fired back during questioning, accusing the Congresswoman of taking money from Reid Hoffman. Hoffman, a very top Democrat donor, co-founder of LinkedIn, recently has been exposed as an Epstein confidant. Visited the now allegedly dead sex trafficker's island and put in a lot of work to try and rehabilitate his image after his first conviction. Take a look at this moron in this exchange.
Mr. Chairman, I would yield back. May I answer?
Attorney General can respond.
I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure, this isn't a circus, this is a hearing. I find it interesting she keeps going after Donald Trump. She doesn't say how much money she took from Reid Hoffman, did you? None. And nor did
Mr.
she
Chairman,
post
regular
anything.
order, please.
She
Regular
posted
order.
nothing on her X account, on her Twitter account during the Biden years.
Gentlelady.
And yet now, all of a sudden,
question
she's
asked.
going after
Committee will be in order.
There was no question
Shame
asked
on
of the
you.
Attorney General. She doesn't just get to speak.
Committee will be in order.
I have a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Committee will be in order.
Committee will be in order. See what I mean? Like freaking 10-year-olds. These are adults. Adults somebody elected to represent them. Regardless, Bondi's central claim is right. Democrats have absolutely no interest in anything to do with Epstein. Couldn't care less until Trump took office. And then, grab the microscope. A lot of you, Lofgren Company, couldn't be bothered to say a word while Biden sat on these files for years. The sudden concern is not based on any kind of real pursuit of the facts or any kind of accountability. They're really not interested in that. It is purely partisan politics. That's it. They want to play that game. It's only fair. Bondi gets to play it back. That's how it works. Sorry. During her opening statement, she noted the Democrats had dozens of opportunities to interview Biden-era DOJ head Merrick Garland. Not once did they ask him a single question about Epstein. Bondi'd be questioned by Jerry Nadler, and when that happened, things really went off the rails, and I mean off the rails.
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very
Reclaiming
interesting.
my time.
I think it's very
Reclaiming my
interesting.
time.
You can
when
reclaim
he
your
talks
time,
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they
Close the
indicted
clock.
him
Mr.
twice.
Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock and
did.
stop the
He
clock and
indicted.
restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will be in order.
theatrics.
The time
Reclaiming my
belongs
time
to the
and
gentleman
roll back
from
the
New
clock,
York.
please.
We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when
Reclaiming
you ask
my-
a question, the
The
witness
question
gets to
was-
answer. You may not like the answer, but she
Right.
gets
The
to answer.
question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like
Que-
the answer,
Reclaiming
Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming
So
my-
he asked a
Reclaiming my
4-minute
time.
question.
Restore 45
and
seconds,
I am
Mr. Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
Reclaiming my time.
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Reclaiming-
Not on our time. No way.
Reclaiming-
And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I
anything,
did tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Washed up, not even a lawyer. But you see what? What a freaking circus. That is about as wild a hearing, I think, as I've seen. A lot of on the right have had justifiable frustrations with Ms. Bondi, that's for damn sure, myself included. But she's right on this one. A lot of what the Democrats are saying about the Epstein issue, purposely dishonest, absolute bullshit, just meant to deflect from all their years of absolute crickets, silence, pretend there's a mountain of indictable clients ready to be arrested. That is simply not true. Yes, Epstein was a horrible, horrible, evil person. Yes, there are people in the files who had friendships with him pre-2008 who should be criticized. Reid Hoffman, Steve Bannon, Stacey Plaskett. But when it comes to new criminal charges, there's really not much to go on. The Democrats are really good at grandstanding about this issue, but they will never actually give names of anybody they think ought to be indicted, because they have no names. It's all theater. And those morons you put in those chairs, what? Nadler, come on, pal. It is time to get out. Shuffles around and poops himself. Danny, welcome in. Forgot the show. Forgot the show? You forgot me? Oh. Anyway, good you were coloring with AJ. Still coloring, but you're here now. That's what's important. The children, by the way, weren't done. Oh, no. They just kept going. You know what? I'm not even going to play this cut. I've had enough of these people. I don't need to see anymore. They're idiots. Absolute idiots. How would you like a robot for your home, huh? Maybe a robot could help you color with AJ while you watch the show. Humanoid robots, yep, they are getting smaller. They're apparently getting safer. And they're getting ready for your house. It is an incredible age that we live in, folks. We've seen something of an explosion in these human form robots. If they can work the bugs out of this technology, could be something really something, especially for people who are elderly or disabled or perhaps both. Could improve their quality of life, could confer on them some level of independence that, as of now, has been pretty impossible. I still think Asimov's 3 rules of robotics would be a good idea. Well, there is now a company called Fauna Robotics that's launching an android called Sprout. Kind of a cute name. It is apparently smaller, softer, and more user-friendly, we can also hope cheaper, than the alternatives. It's a rather interesting design. Now, for decades, humanoid robots have lived very safely behind cages in factories or deep inside research labs. Fauna Robotics, New York-based robotic startup, says that era's ended. Company's introducing Sprout, a compact humanoid robot designed from the ground up to operate around people. Instead of adapting an industrial robot for public spaces, Fauna built Sprout specifically to be used in homes, schools, offices, retail businesses, entertainment venues. It's a humanoid platform designed from first principles to operate around people. They say it's a new category of robots built to be used where we live, work, and play. Here's what makes Sprout different than all the other things we've seen in the past. It's about 3.5 feet tall. It fits naturally into human spaces instead of towering over everybody. Weighs about 50 pounds. Carries less kinetic energy during any movement or any contact with people, which makes closer interaction safer by design. Lightweight materials, soft touch exterior further reduces risk. Design avoids sharp edges, limits pinch points, allows the robot to operate near people without any safety cages. Quiet motors, smooth movement, helps reduce noise and helps Sprout feel less intimidating in shared spaces. You got one of these things running around your house, you don't want to be afraid of it. And rather than complex multi-fingered hands, it uses simple 1 degree of freedom grippers. That approach lowers the weight, improves durability, and still supports a lot of practical tasks like getting objects, handing off things to you, basic shared space interaction. Flexible arms and legs would allow it to walk, kneel, and crawl, and Sprout can also fall and recover without damaging any of the sensitive parts. Everyday environments where conditions rarely are perfect, that kind of a feature matters a lot. But I got some questions. This may work great in a city apartment, suburban home. What about a rural Alaskan homestead? Could you send it across the highway in the snow to get your phone from the office? Could it tend to the fire in a wood stove? Keep it at the right amount of wood? Could you send it out to the shed to split kindling, bring in the firewood? That'd be nice if you lived in that environment. Secondly, what connection does Fauna have with these robots? I presume they'd have to be connected so they could download firmware and updates and things like that. Everything we do, our hand phone, our computers, our cell phone, everything. Will they also be gathering information about my home, our habits? Good question. And will that data be available to Fauna employees, Fauna management, subject to subpoenas? These things could be a big help for some folks, no doubt about it. I really do think it will be. Somehow, though, I think my little patch of the universe here is going to be Android free for quite a while. I seriously doubt that any Android would be able to keep up with the things I would want done. So I'm not sure I would be sending my name into the waiting list for a Sprout robot anytime soon. But it's happening. You ain't gonna stop it. It's gonna be there. I'd be very interested in what the price of one of these things would be. Interesting. We live in a different world, friends, a very different world. What's going on in the chat? Oh, good Epstein talk. Why is it on Facebook that Trump is mentioned over 1 million times and with kids 16, 17, 19, 9? I haven't read them myself, so I can't comment. I have not seen that sort of a thing. But, you know, they're going to put anything out there anyway. I haven't seen anything other than that one thing wasn't true about a 13-year-old. Oh, never mind, that wasn't true. Okay, so solve that problem yourself. Good. All right, are you ready for our Knucklehead of the Week award? Yes, it goes out to the governor of Kentucky. Of all places, Kentucky. But then again, when you realize how blue that state is, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Don't. Just don't. When I first saw a clip of this Andy Beshear on The View, who was invoking his faith to defend the medical mutilation of children, I just about lost my breakfast. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. This should frighten you.
But we rarely talk about the why. People want to know what drives us, especially in a world with social media where everyone's looking for the next authentic thing. For me, that's my faith. Most of the decisions I make are based on that golden rule that says we love our neighbor as ourselves, and that parable of the Good Samaritan that says everyone is our neighbor. And so when I've taken actions like vetoing the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation that ever came through my state, I described it in those terms. I said, my faith teaches me that all children are children of God. And I didn't want people picking on those kids.
Yeah, okay. My faith teaches me that all children are children of God, and I didn't want people picking on those kids. I have seen children buried. Parents in ICU waiting rooms. Teenagers drowned in confusion and shame. Walking with families through seasons where the pain was absolutely unbearable. The love for children, sorry, that's not theoretical. It is personal. It is sacred. And that's why this argument is against every ounce of true care you can have for a child. Yes, all children are children of God. Amen to that. But in what world does that truth lead us to sterilize them, cut them open, or affirm every feeling as if it were the final truth? In fact, the very opposite is true. If children belong to God, then we are stewards. We are not experimenters, okay? Protectors, not affirmers of childhood confusion. Shepherds, not butchers. Have you ever encountered a child who is hurting, who needs less truth? I doubt it. A lot of people who needed more patience, more presence, more stability, and more adults who are willing to say, I love you too much to lie to you. The left loves to quote mercy. They rarely mention righteousness. They love to cling while quietly discarding the truth. Scripture doesn't separate those things. God's love is holy. His mercy is just. His compassion doesn't contradict his design. This selective theology is not accidental. Satan's been twisting the word of God from the very beginning. He never denies God outright. He redefines him. He takes one attribute, isolates it, uses it to smuggle in destruction. Did God really say? Is the most effective question in the devil's arsenal. When politicians invoke their faith to defend policies that permanently harm and disable and mutilate our children, everybody has a responsibility to speak up against it. Silence is not kindness, it is cowardice. To be in the middle of the Epstein file releases and then hear some sitting governor invoke his faith to push ideologies that attack the very innocent among us, I don't know where to begin. Maybe the words of a simple man born in Bethlehem. But if you cause one of these little ones who trusts in me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. You can sign me up for the millstone team. Protecting kids from bullying does not require puberty blockers. Stopping mean words does not require mastectomies. Preventing cruelty does not demand lifelong medical dependence. That isn't care, it's abuse by the very hands that claim they're helping. The psychological damage can be just as irreversible as the surgeries are. Don't forget about that aspect of it all. It's very real, and it all puts these parents into an impossible position. Either affirm a narrative they know is absolutely false, or be labeled hateful. Either surrender your authority as a parent, or get told you want your child to suffer, which is absurd. That isn't care, that's coercion, folks. Feelings are real. They're not reliable, but they are real. A loving adult helps a child navigate feelings without surrendering the truth. You don't let kids drive cars. You don't let them vote, sign contracts, because we understand development, a child's development. Yet, somehow we're told they can consent to irreversible medical decisions during their absolute most vulnerable years. Whether you are a believer or not, that should set off your alarms everywhere. The Bible doesn't call on us to affirm confusion. It calls on us to walk people towards wholeness. It doesn't tell us to redefine the body. It tells us the body is a gift. It doesn't command us to eliminate suffering at all costs. It commands us to endure, to disciple, to heal, to tell the truth in love. Obviously, I'm not interested in winning any culture wars. Never is my focus. I am interested very much in protecting the sheep, especially the smallest among us. And no, Kentucky governor, when you use God's name to justify policies that leave these poor children scarred for life, I'm not going to be applauding that. I will challenge that lie, that absolute disgusting lie. Real love doesn't mutilate. Real mercy doesn't lie. And real faith does not twist the scriptures to make your sin sound like compassion. It doesn't work that way. Can you tell I'm a little passionate about this stuff? Okay, I'm a lot compassionate about this stuff. Danny says Jack's favorite color was pink, and now it's rainbow. He loves stuffed animal kittens and has some kitty toys that were made for girls, and I'm okay with all that because he's 6. Exactly. And you know what? When he's 7, he might find his way into loving trucks and cranes and Tonka toys. And then maybe when he's 8, he'll go back to loving the color pink and rainbows and My Little Ponies. Is that still a thing? They're kids, they're growing, they're learning, they're developing experiences. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Danny said it best. He understands. He is a boy. And nothing will change that. God bless you, Danny. God bless you. Wow. All right. Let us take just a moment here and tell you about the best coffee on the planet. It is what is right here in this cup, which I need a sip of. Oh, man, that'll kick you in the butt on a Thursday morning. That is Blackout coffee, and man, I'm telling you, they've got the coolest promotion going on right now. Crush it this Valentine's Day. Whether you're buying for a him or a her, it doesn't matter because it's coffee, and who doesn't like the best coffee on the planet? This flavored coffee, oh, it is unbelievable. Folks, I'm telling you, I did not like flavored coffee. In fact, I hated flavored coffee until they had me try some of this stuff from Blackout. It is amazing. Right now, for the Valentine's coming up, get any flavored coffee, buy one, and you get one at half off. That's one hell of a deal on coffee bags and pods. Yep, they've got pods, they've got instant, they've got cold brew, and in a lot of their favorite flavors, you can also get yourself the beans ground. Check that out. Subscription to coffee so you don't have to remember to order all the time. You don't accidentally run out, and you get a great savings there too. Look at these flavors: cherry jelly donut, salted caramel mocha, French toast, blueberry crumble, dark chocolate. There's mine, pitch black espresso. Love it. Fantastic. $17.95. That is not expensive for a bag of absolutely the best fresh roasted beans on the planet. Always full flavored, very strong coffee, but never ever bitter. And yep, see right there, it says ground. That means you can order them whole beans or ground as an option. Blackout Coffee. Use the link down in our show notes down there, and that will get you a 20% discount on your first order at Blackout Coffee. Like I said, they've always got specials going on no matter what time of the day or year you get over there. Right now, it's a Valentine's great special. Buy one flavored coffee, get one half off. Believe me, after Valentine's Day, there'll be some other amazing coffee offer over there. Use the link in our show notes. Give it a try. Buy a single bag. It's all I ask. Just try one bag. And if you don't change your mind and become a lifelong Blackout Coffee fan, I'd say you don't like coffee at all, because that is simply the best stuff there is. Thank you, Blackout Coffee, John Santos and the gang over there. We really appreciate you guys coming on and being a partner here on the program. Good stuff. All right. What do you think about Canada becoming the 51st state? No thanks. But how about if we did it province by province? Maybe. There has been a lot of talk in the last year or so about the U.S. possibly annexing Canada. Now, that's gone from a scream to a dull roar at this point. Trump still makes the occasional 51st state comment, but nobody's really has to be too worried about the prospect of the U.S. devouring Canada in one gulp. However, one bite at a time, though, starting with a province that's already looking for a way out, that could be a different kettle of fish. Column by Virginia-based investment banker John Dominguez, published in Real Clear World, raises some rather interesting points. Listen to this. As we approach America's 250th birthday, realizing that unfinished vision has become an imperative, not a curiosity, bringing Canada into the Union would add trillions of dollars in productive capacity. Secure America's northern frontier, strengthen their strategic posture, and honestly, what better legacy for President Trump, a real estate developer turned president, than to acquire land for the U.S.? This integrating Canada, all of Canada as one state, is a bit stupid. Trump's talk of a 51st state, it's entertaining, but totally unrealistic. But it also misses the point. Instead, Canada should be integrated into America, one province at a time. And we can begin with the province of Alberta. There has been an Alberta separatist movement for a long time. There are those in Canada who worry the seceded Alberta may choose to join the U.S. Prairie provinces, in many ways, have a lot in common culturally. Central U.S., a lot of resources at stake, vast energy, huge mineral wealth. It would immediately strengthen the U.S. economy. Alberta has the world's third largest oil reserves. Another reason. Estimated to have 166 billion barrels of oil that they haven't even tapped yet. Now, to put this into perspective, the current crude price, $60 a barrel. The economics of Alberta is a blue chip investment for America. Meteoric potential compared to NVIDIA. Here's the thing. I've never seen anything like this from the proponents of Alberta's independence that proposes anything other than a sovereign and independent Alberta. An independent Alberta would be an immediate major trade partner with the U.S. Smart new Alberta national government do very well immediately to start talks with America. Energy, mineral companies, pipeline in the bargain, no doubt. But here's where I'm not so sure about what Mr. Domingo is writing. First step for Trump should be to formally invite Alberta, if it votes by referendum, to become a U.S. territory. Canada wouldn't be easily able to block this kind of a referendum because of their existing laws. Washington would have to move very swiftly to admit Alberta as a U.S. territory with some sort of pathway to statehood. And for those curious about Alberta's interest in joining the land of the free, you should instead ask, what would hold them back? Alberta's grievances with Canada are plenty. This is the guy writing this article. Alberta's Canada's wealthiest province. Much of its revenue is constitutionally mandated to be redistributed to other provinces. Very little political recourse about that. Same time, Alberta desperately underrepresented in Canada, in the Parliament, because of special laws that entrench apportionment advantages to the other provinces. Doesn't seem likely that Alberta would vote to join the U.S. Could be wrong, but I suspect I'm probably not. No reliable polling on the matter. There are polls on the issue of Alberta seceding from Canada. Only about 3 in 10 Albertans are in favor of leaving. And by the way, once an area is established as a territory, Congress steps in to organize the new territory, which could include things like appointing a territorial governor, legislature, which may or may not include a plague of politically connected carpetbaggers. No doubt it would. You can only imagine the demands of the Democrats about these processes. That's a story for another time. But what do you think? Alberta, territory, and possibly a 51st state? Not a bad idea. Hey, New York City got their first free grocery store. Oh boy, what could possibly go wrong? The feather merchants are at it again. New business model coming to the streets of New York City. One that probably has the new socialist communist mayor Zohran Mamdani shouting with glee. Of course, like most lefty loonies, it won't work. But they're going to try it anyway. Oh yeah, free grocery store. As in, no payment. As in, take everything you want. As you can imagine, New York City This is not going to end well, my friends. A prediction market company, best known for allowing users to bet on world events, is stepping into New York City's food scene briefly. The launch of what is called the city's first ever free grocery store. Poly Market, open for New Yorkers in Lower Manhattan starting at 12 p.m. from February 12th, that will be today, through February 16th. So it opens Eastern Time in about 2 hours, which means I would say in about 3 hours, it will be closed. According to the New York City for Free website, it's been described as the city's first free grocery store, fully stocked and requiring no purchase. Polymarket posted on X that the idea took months of planning, in addition to, of course, paying for the lease for the building space. The company said donated $1 million to Food Bank for New York City to support an organization that changes how our city responds to hunger. I can pretty much promise you that no one in New York is starving, okay? Not when the single biggest health problem plaguing people below the poverty line in the U.S., say it with me, obesity. No, not one single person in New York City is starving to death. We have here in the U.S. some of the most generous food assistance programs in the known universe. People are literally growing fat on it. Photos on social media show the market offers a variety of food staples from produce, milk, eggs, bread, brand name snacks like Pringles and Sour Patch Kids and Oreo cookies. They didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on why it's opening and what it calls the first free grocery store for New York. You look at Polymarket's X account. Can we open that? Can we see the, there you go. There is a picture of the free grocery store in New York City. But take a look at that picture now, because I promise you in about 3 hours, it won't look like that anymore. An absolute joke. This will fail. Take that to the bank, cash that check. It will fail catastrophically. First, free grocery store opening today and supposedly going to stay open through Monday. I give it an hour. A horde will descend on this place later this morning, take everything that isn't nailed down, including possibly the shelves and the fixtures. There will be fights. There will be riots, possibly. This, honestly, this has to be the worst idea since New Coke. It is a fantastic display of leftist ideology, completely and utterly unfettered by anything approaching any common or good sense. That's for damn sure. It lacks any semblance of understanding as to how a lot of people in the decaying, worm-ridden Big Apple are going to react to this. The shouts will go out, indeed, already has, since Polymarket seems determined to spread the news. Free stuff! Come and get it! Let the games begin. This is going to be entertaining. Oh, man. Yeah, good point, Marilyn. They grab it all and then they sell it on the streets. Exactly. Brilliant. All right. I have got to do this story. I'll cover it lightly, may dig a little deeper into it. But this news has broke, and that is that forensic experts now say that Kurt Cobain did not commit suicide. He was murdered. For more than 30 years now, after Kurt Cobain's body was found in his Seattle home, the series of forensic experts is saying what a lot of fans, myself included, have suspected all along. The Nirvana frontman did not kill himself. He was murdered. Private forensic teams spent 3 days reviewing autopsy materials, crime scene evidence from Cobain's April 5th, 1994 death. Man, that seems like forever ago. What their conclusion was that this was not a suicide. This was a homicide. The evidence they uncovered raises some very serious questions about the way the Seattle police handled this and the Kings County Medical Examiner's Office. According to a report from the Daily Mail, forensic specialist Brian Burnett, he's worked on thousands of investigations involving overdoses, gunshot trauma. He didn't mince any words when he examined the evidence. He said, this is a homicide. Got to do something about this. His peer-reviewed paper presents 10 points of evidence suggesting Cobain was confronted by assailants, plural, who forced a heroin overdose to incapacitate him and then shot him in the head and staged an elaborate suicide scene. Now, the autopsy findings alone should have raised red flags decades ago. Michelle Wilkins, independent researcher, worked with a forensic team, pointed out some unbelievably glaring inconsistencies. There are things in the autopsy that go, well, wait, this person didn't die very quickly of a gunshot blast. The autopsy revealed necrosis of the brain and liver, fluid in the lungs, and bleeding in the eyes. These findings are classic signs of heroin overdose, not an instant gunshot death. Happens in an overdose. Crime scene itself looks like less of a suicide and like somebody's bad attempt at staging one. The receipt for the gun was in Kurt Cobain's pocket. Come on. And the receipt for the shells, too. The shells were all lined up at his feet. Heroin kit several feet away with capped syringes, cotton buds, pieces of black heroin, roughly equal sized. We're supposed to believe that he capped the needles and put everything back in order after shooting up 3 times? Because that's what somebody else does when they're dying? Yeah, I don't think so. She said suicides are messy, and this was a very clean crime scene. It is not the craziest theory in history, I'm telling you. In fact, it isn't even a new theory. When Kurt Cobain died, I was at the time a fan of Nirvana. Even back then, LA private investigator Tom Grant, hired by Courtney Love days before Cobain was found dead, publicly rejected the suicide ruling all those 30 over years ago and believed that Cobain's wife, Courtney Love, was somehow connected to his death. Authorities, unbelievably, are refusing to take a fresh look. Sheriff's Office, King County Medical's Examiner Office said, they're open to revisiting conclusions if any new evidence comes to light. But they say they've seen nothing to date that would warrant reopening of the case. What the actual F? Bloody hell. The writer here is not asking for arrest tomorrow. She just wants transparency. She says, if we're wrong, just prove it to us. She said, that's all we asked them to do. Both agencies came back with a hard no. They will not even look at the evidence. And it's very sadly, very unlikely, much as it should be, this case will ever get reopened. And that is sad, my friends. Okay, we're done. We did it. Thursday's in the books, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday edition of our little get-together here. Thank you so much. Be sure and follow our show or hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube and our VOD. X, also, we upload a version of the show over there. And, of course, our podcast, the audio part of the show, goes out. And Spotify, Apple iTunes, all the podcast platforms. We hope you will join us there and hit that follow or subscribe button. Thank you very much. I'll be back again tomorrow for the Friday edition of The Jay Sheldon Show.